WNBA free agency is officially underway, Annie. So when you see these names and the options that the Sky have, what do you think that they're cooking up?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because Angel and Camilla are very interesting pieces. And when you're talking about, getting the right players in here, there is intrigue when you have young core pieces like that, because you could be part of developing them and developing towards a title contending season. But the reality is the Sky are still very far from that.
On her podcast, Angel Reese confidently declared that she was creating a powerhouse in Chicago. Fast forward to the present, and the situation couldn't be more different. Free agency has been underway, but Chicago's roster is still as empty as ever. The top free agents have considered their options and passed on the Sky, and they don't get told no. They're going to get more yeses than nos. And that's something I'm looking forward to, because I know that will happen soon. Let's take a closer look at how this free agency disaster unfolded. The entire city is obsessed with you. I know I love it here. I feel like Baltimore here. I love you. Free agency was supposed to be Reese's chance to help build the championship caliber squad, especially after all the recruiting she did over at Unrivaled. Instead, it's turning into a painful reality check. Sign that players around the league simply aren't interested in being part of whatever Reese is trying to create in Chicago. It's kind of DMV action here, but, Chicago is the third largest market in the nation. New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. Yeah, Chicago. You guys have everything. I won't lie. You guys have everything here. I love that Angel Reese boldly declared that she was going to build a super team in Chicago, but now that free agency has arrived, the only thing the Sky have created is a roster full of question marks. Imagine Reese scrolling through her contacts, sending messages, and making Angel Reese and Camilla Cardoso have also given this team the relevance they've sorely needed in a time when, again, they would be completely irrelevant without the product they're putting on the floor. They also make Chicago an appealing destination because two bigs who really shine in the rookie season. You'd think that so many elite free agents on the market, at least one of them would be going to Chicago. However, at times she checks her phone, all she sees are unread messages and courteous rejections. Guys, this is not great news for the Chicago Sky, who are a team that obviously look they're in and they're rebuilding. The problem is that they don't own their pick. So if the Chicago guy runs it back, they're probably not going to make the playoffs next year. Look, I think there's going to be an improvement from Angel Reese. I think it's going to be an improvement from Cardoso. It will be extremely difficult for a team without Kennedy Carter to have any offensive power. Let's look at the names that were available. Kelsey Plum, Sewell Lloyd, Brittany Greer, Alyssa Thomas, Dana Bonner, Natasha Howard, Satu Sabali, and Kelsey. These players have the ability to completely transform a team in an instant. And how many of them gave Chicago any serious consideration? Not one. Perhaps there was still a chance, or perhaps Rhea had something in mind. But now that the majority of the big names have found other places, it's obvious that Chicago was not a destination for top talent during Reese's grand recruiting. Not a good day for the Chicago Sky, in fact, because we heard from the WNBA reporter that she is not a homer like many of the other people. And since most journalists are homers for one team, one of the real credible journalists reported on something, and Sky fans are not happy and want her fired. To make matters worse, the Sky front office did Reese no favors either, as their top scorer, Kennedy Carter, didn't even receive a qualifying offer. Isn't serious about retaining its best players, let alone luring in new ones, and those trade rumors went nowhere fast. It's almost like the moment Rhea tried to sell them on the super team vision. Free agents couldn't leave quickly enough. Kennedy had an amazing season for us last year, according to the incredibly talented, can impact the game at the highest level in our league. We are grateful for everything she did for our team last year, but we made changes to our staff and we'll be making roster changes, which will affect Kennedy's fit on the team. So we wanted to give her the best opportunity as a free agent. So where does this leave Reese? The so-called superstar who was supposed to bring elite talent to Chicago? Well, she might be leading a team of role players and rookies instead. This isn't the powerhouse she had envisioned. It's a harsh wake-up call. Why did all the top free agents decide that Chicago wasn't worth their time? Let's break it down. Did Reese just run a coach out of town? Is she running a player out of town? Their best shooter out of town? Kennedy Carter appears to be prepared to book it out of Chicago, while Reese was promoting Chicago as the next WNBA powerhouse. The top free agents were making moves that left the Sky in the dust. Imagine a flurry of signings throughout the league, with superstars going to teams that had everything Chicago lacked: stability, leadership, and a genuine chance to win. Let's examine exactly where the stars chose to shine. According to ESPN, the Seattle Storm are sending Joel Lloyd to the Las Vegas Aces in a blockbuster 3-team trade that also moves Kelsey Plum to the LA Sparks. As part of the deal, Seattle will receive the 2nd pick in this year's WNBA draft from LA. In exchange for the Storm's number 9 pick, the Aces also received the 13th pick, 2nd-round selection from the Sparks. First up, Kelsey Plum, you remember. She's the shooter who was instrumental in Las Vegas's back-to-back championships, and now she's going to Los Angeles. That's right. The Sparks have emerged as a serious contender, and the reason LA is choosing them over Chicago is that they have top-notch coaching, a front office that actually knows what it's doing, and a franchise that isn't in total chaos. I'm sorry, Angel. But if that hurt, Jewel Lloyd had to be downright humiliating Lloyd. A Chicago native had the ideal chance to come home and represent her city, if playing with Reese was so alluring. However, after taking a look at the Sky situation, Lloyd decided to pursue championships over whatever chaos was developing in Chicago. According to WNBA insiders, Illinois native Joel Lloyd will not be joining the Chicago Sky, and they obviously didn't keep Kennedy Carter, so it's looking like one player, and then that's been Chicago. Joel Lloyd, the guard for the Seattle Storm, is from Illinois. Brittany Greer, the dominant center who can dunk the ball, is going to Atlanta to join a dream team that has become much more dangerous. Meanwhile, Alyssa Thomas, the queen of triple doubles, is now a Phoenix native. You see a pattern here. These players didn't just avoid Chicago. They ran toward teams with clear leadership and direction where they could thrive and not waste time dealing with locker room drama. Let's talk about the 3 big names you got to know: Alyssa Thomas, Natasha Cloud, Brittany Greer. Let's begin with Brittany Griner, joining Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard in Atlanta Dream Team. It's about time for Atlanta to turn things around this season because they really need her. Phoenix is also losing Natasha Cloud, and as well as the number 12 pick overall in this year's draft to Connecticut, which is giving up the triple-double queens, Alyssa Thomas and Ty Harris. Speaking of Phoenix, things get even worse for Reese. Not only did Thomas land there, but she'll be collaborating with Satu Sabale, which is a dangerous combination. That immediately boosts the mercury, but this is where the real pain starts. While Angel Reese was busy trying and failing to recruit the Indiana Fever, they were out here actually building a championship roster. The Fever just pulled off the ultimate offseason overhaul, bringing in battle-tested veterans like Natasha Howard, Dana Bonner, Sydney Colson, and Sophie Cunningham. They even took Reese's own teammate, Brianna Turner, without her knowledge, and as if that wasn't enough, they resigned Kelsey Mitchell. What does all of this mean? The real start a big game, but the real stars weren't. Not only did these top free agents reject Chicago, but they also actively strengthened the teams that will be standing in the way of the Sky. It's almost as if they all saw the warning signs and chose to avoid the drama before it even started. But wait. While Chicago stood still, the Indian Fever are that golden destination. Can't help but laugh at the fans and media commentators online who said that nobody wanted to play in Indiana. It doesn't make sense. More move that it might be the last straw in Angel Reese's so-called super team dreams. Want to hear more? Reese used to brag about making Chicago a super team, but now she finds herself staring at empty... Reality is setting in, and her dream of bringing in top talent is becoming a nightmare. It's beginning to feel more like a pickup team at the local IMCA than an all-star squad. I'm trying to give myself some grace because I know I'm not the player I want to be just yet. But I'm also kind of patting myself on the back and telling myself that I'm still doing great. Talk about the elephant in the room, or more accurately, the lack of elite talent in the Sky's practice facility. Did you know that in comparison to the rest of the WNBA, Chicago's current setup is like practicing in a high school gym? While teams like the Fever, Liberty, and Aces are training in state-of-the-art facilities, the Sky are stuck in a time warp, and the much-anticipated new facility won't be ready until 2026. In a league that is expanding more quickly than ever, that could very well be 10 years away. A gym at 3 in the morning where they want to do that, so I want to be able to just invest. However, their record only gets worse when you consider that the Sky were genuinely contenders for the playoffs. Last season, they collapsed harder than a cheap lawn chair, finishing with 13 wins and 27 losses, their worst record since 2020, and this is after adding a so-called generational rookie in Reese. Turns out that hype doesn't win games, so it's been amazing to watch my influence both on and off the court. Even Kennedy Carter, who isn't exactly known for playing nice, didn't hold back her thoughts on Reese before she left. League sources revealed that Westbourne had lost a locker room because of a culture that catered to the free agent market. Reports indicate that the guys' locker room chemistry is as chaotic as a reality TV show, and who's stirring the pot is Reese. Instead of making Chicago an appealing destination for free agents, she's repelling talent faster than a bad Wi-Fi signal. Needs of a few players, dear Lord. And speaking of dysfunction, let's talk about the Chicago Sky's front office. It's like a fast food restaurant with a revolving door. People come and go, and there's no stability. It's no wonder that WNBA analyst Annie Costile noted that free agents are reluctant to sign with Chicago because of its instability. So where does that leave Reese in the Chicago Sky? The Sky can't even persuade players to answer their calls, which is painful but impossible to ignore. And I can't help but wonder, to Reese and her style of play. I don't know if you've ever seen her social media posts, but she's very me, always, I'm me. Oh, well, she might have a player who's had enough of that. Angel Reese loves to talk about how people watch her, but reality just gave her a harsh wake-up call. The numbers don't lie. People in Caitlin Clark is the WNBA biggest draw. Let's break it down. WNBA players demanded recognition throughout the year. They wanted to keep all the credit for themselves while downplaying the impact of the league's only star. Caitlin Clark. Picture this game night in Chicago. Angel Reese and the Sky are on the court, but the seats are as empty as a high school study hall during summer break. The TV ratings, let's just say, you have better luck finding a blockbuster hit on public access television. However, the second Clark and the Fever roll into town suddenly, Reese's defenders may argue, but Angel is a double-double machine. She's a rebounding force. Yes, she's collecting boards, but her fan base isn't that large. The Sky's attendance figures reveal that the game isn't exactly a bestseller, and there isn't much demand for it. However, envious WNBA players will now have the chance to earn that credit, and players like Reese will be given the chance to test their star power. Finally, there is unrivaled Reese's games, the much-discussed 3-on-3 league, where Reese was supposed to display her star power, is barely registering a pulse. The league that was supposed to be a game share is now looking more like a forgettable side project. Yes, it is unrivaled, but it is also unwatched. Let's face it, if you don't have Caitlin Clark playing women's basketball, or if you're not playing women's basketball in the NCAA tournament, there is a lot of pressure on Angel Reese in the Chicago Sky. What does it all mean? Without any big-name free agents to help, Reese will have to prove everything she says. Will she truly become the league's face as she says? Or will she be left holding an empty arena and scrolling through TV channels, wondering where her audience went? Angel Reese may be playing in a league, but who wants to watch a silly 6-woman miss layups? The hard truth is that her star power isn't filling stadiums. It's like trying to light up a stadium flashlight. WNBA analyst Annie Costill was blunt when she said, Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso have brought relevance to this team that they desperately needed in a time when if it weren't for them, they'd be completely irrelevant because of the product that they're putting on the floor. In other words, the sky was already in disarray before Reese arrived, and her arrival hasn't exactly changed that Chicago needed a real superstar to turn things around. And thus far, Reese hasn't been that player. Because of one person. It's because of me too. I want you all to understand that as free agency comes to an end, Reese is facing the most significant season of her career. You may recall that she loudly declared she was building a super team, but that dream crashed harder than one of her missed layups. Now she has only one choice: prove she's a franchise player or become irrelevant. However, the bigger picture is that the Sky free agency disaster serves as a stark reminder to the WNBA. One player doesn't build if Angel Reese doesn't deliver, her WNBA career could end up being an even bigger failure than her free agency recruitment tour. Are you prepared for the Angel Reese train wreck? Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss it. Championship teams require wise front office decisions, elite facilities, and winning culture, and right now Chicago is failing on all three fronts. As the new season draws near, all eyes are on the Windy City, and we'll see you at the following one.